Hi friends. Okay, so you want to know what puffball mushrooms are, or maybe you've heard of them but you've never experienced them. So I'm doing this video as a long form instead of a reel because you know what, I just wanted to talk to you guys, just kind of have a chat. So I am sitting here in front of a bunch, if you will, of puffball mushrooms, and we're out here in the orchard, and the orchard is heavily mulched. And the puffball mushrooms grow here because they like to grow on wood, dead wood and rotting wood. So they often will grow, you'll often find them growing on mulch or perhaps on tree roots. So they might look like they are growing out of the ground, but if you kind of dig down a little bit, there's actually tree roots there, and that's what they're growing on. And they like to come out at least around here in the fall, and they look like little puffballs. Look at that. I believe there are 4, I could be wrong, but I think there are 4 different types of puffball mushroom, and some can get really big, like I'm talking like super, super huge, and those are always fun to find. But they're all going to, no matter the size, they're gonna look like a puffball. Some might have a little bit more of an egg shape, or I believe this one is the mini pear puffball mushroom. But in general, they're gonna be round and they're gonna look puffy. And when you take them, so this one I already sliced, but I'll show you. Let's see, I'm gonna pull one back here, and it's nice and white, and it's kind of spongy and soft like a marshmallow on the inside. And so let's talk identifying. Obviously, it's going to look like a ball, a puffball, okay? Could be this size, could be larger. It also needs to be completely white on the inside. So if it is brown, black, green, no go, don't eat it, not a puffball. Puffball it could be a puffball, but it's just gone past its prime. But it wouldn't look this nice on top. If it was black and brown, it wouldn't look this nice and puffy on top anymore. But there are poisonous mushrooms that will, some people have been known to misidentify, and it's black or brown on the inside, and that's not good. So you want to make sure it's completely white. Also, if it has gills, it is not a puffball mushroom. Puffballs don't have gills. They're spongy on the inside, and when you pull them out, they're kind of like a root on the bottom there, okay? So there's no gills there, right? So if you see gills, not a puffball mushroom. And again, they grow on wood, okay? They're not gonna be growing directly out of the ground. They're gonna be growing on wood in some fashion. So, and oftentimes they will grow in a bunch like this, although I have seen them growing like maybe 1 or 2 seemingly. It's usually the bigger ones. And okay, so then what are some of the benefits of puffball? Puffball is, there are recordings of it being used medicinally by Native American cultures and some other cultures around the world. And it's said that it could possibly be helpful for certain types of cancers, that it can be helpful for stopping hemorrhaging and other issues around the blood. But honestly, she's mostly known now in the modern world for being a nice edible mushroom, a wild food. Why are wild foods awesome? Because they bring vibrancy and life into our diet, into our body. That is not going to come through a cultivated vegetable or something that's coming from the grocery store. This is very much full of life because I just picked it. It was just there, connected to the earth, and now, of course, you wouldn't eat it fresh. Mushrooms in general, you always want to cook. I don't know if you knew that, but in general, most all mushrooms you're going to want to cook before you eat them, but especially a foraged mushroom. And when you are eating foraged mushrooms, especially for the first time, take it slow. Don't eat like a huge plate of these, because you never know how your body is going to interact with that mushroom. And if your body doesn't like a mushroom, it can be very uncomfortable for the digestive system and make you feel ill. So that doesn't mean it's poisonous. It just means that your body isn't a fan or it's just too much. So start with a little bit, cook it up, start with a little bit, see how your body feels. If your body feels great, awesome, then you can have a little bit more the next time. So that's what I recommend. As far as ways to consume it, sauteing this with a ghee or a grass-fed local butter, perhaps a local grass-fed tallow, maybe olive oil, a little sea salt. Saute it up on medium to high heat for 10 to 15 minutes. It'll get nice and golden brown on the outside, kind of crispy, and that is just a delicious little side dish. You could also cook it in with other things, if you're making, like, I don't know, a curry or something like that. Have fun with it. Look up things on the internet. We always have that tool, right? You could look it up and see what other people are doing with this mushroom. For me, it's usually sauteing. Once you harvest her, she will stay vibrant in the fridge for, I'd say, for up to a week. You can also freeze her. Lastly, I will say, when you are harvesting a wild food, you never want to harvest more than what you need, right? You never want to harvest for sure everything that you see. You always want to leave enough behind for the animals or other people, if it's on, in a park or public land, for other people to enjoy, and for that mushroom or plant to repopulate itself. One last thing, I said that was the last, but there's one more thing. I'm sure, so there's probably two big reasons why she's called Puffball. One is she looks like a puffball, and two is because when she goes into her seeding stage, where she starts to create spores, she will dry up, and the inside where this is white will become dark, and it will become filled with spores. And when you step on it, if somebody steps on it, it goes poof, and the spores just puff out. And that's kind of fun to encounter, although you don't really want to breathe in those spores, so be mindful. If you step on it, kind of step away. Not good for the lungs. And I believe she's known as being the most, what's the best way to say that? Something living on this planet that creates the most life from just one mushroom, because it's something like 1 trillion spores from one mushroom or something like that. It's crazy. So once you see puffball mushroom, you can, if it's not on your land and you're trying to remember where you saw something, mark it down, because you'll probably see that puffball mushroom there every year. And definitely she comes back every year around here. So as long as there's wood for her to grow on, there's plenty of spores to regrow. So that's puffball mushroom. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below, and happy foraging.